Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Announces. If you are here, I can assume you like short stories that really look at the absurdity of human nature. Now, as book readers, we've all come to that thing. We finished a book series, or we finished a book, and we're looking for more of the same kind. And maybe we don't want to browse by genre. We're looking for some element of the stories that we will find in other genres. And there's a bunch of different ways we can look for that. There's Literature Map, there's Goodreads, and I was recently contacted by the website shepherd.com. Now, this has nothing to do with sheep. Rather, it is a site that sort of fulfills some of the same functions as Goodreads, some of the same functions as Amazon. It is sort of an aggregate site where authors, especially independent authors, can post our books, and this is how they do it. You get to post your book, and you make a list of 5 other books that belong in a list with your book. So you choose one element. I, of course, chose short story collections to give you a laugh at the absurdity of human nature. And as you can see, you have the title of my list, a short description of what I write, and of course, humans are weird, I have the data, with its description and its links to the book at bookshop.org and Amazon if you don't want to buy it Bookshop. So, there are many of these lists, and if you can find a book on shepherd.com, you'll find an associated list of 5 books that share something similar. Maybe it's not the thing you were looking for, but I think this is really a great way to find other similar books. So, what are the 5 books that I picked as being to capturing that sense of laughing at the absurdity of human nature in short stories? The first book belongs to the slice of life outdoors genre. If I had to pick one main influence to blame my stories on, it would be Patrick F. McManus, The Night the Bear Ate Goomba. Specifically, The Night the Bear Ate Goomba. One of the stories in here was on the Iowa Basic Skills test that we had to do every year, and I really enjoyed it. My grandparents had all the books in this series. It was a ton of fun. So, why this book? The pure and real absurdity of the stories in this book kept me coming back again and again. The cranky old backwoodsman, the paranoid mother, and the hard-as-nails grandmother all felt like real people to me, and you never know when Strange the dog would show up. Experience the world through the eyes of a child growing up in early 20th century backwoods America. Again, this is just a collection of short stories that explores the absurdity of human nature through slice of life. Then you have much the same concept by one of the most famous comedians in America in the 80s and 90s, Erma Bombeck. So, and her book, The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank. Why did I choose this book? It's a collection of short stories, and life happens. The septic tank overflows, girls get in fights, boys track dirt all over your best carpet. You are absolutely going to ruin their lives with your attempt to explain the facts of life. Erma Bombeck takes these realities and laughs at them. You can't help but laugh along with her, from her tiny suburban home to her efforts to forgive her enemies. Erma Bombeck is, in my mind, one of the great comedians of the previous century and previous decades. One of her books that I found the most poignant was I Want to Grow Up, I Want to Be Healthy, I Want to Move to Boise. She was approached by one of the Cancer Societies of America and asked to write a funny book for survivors of childhood cancer, and she did so gracefully and with a great sense of humor. But that is less of a short story collection at the absurdity of human nature than her other books, so I chose The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank. This one, also slice of life, bordering that boundary between fact and fiction, James Herriot, All Things Bright and Beautiful. To little grade school me, this book was high fantasy. You have a healer with amazing powers walking through another world, a world of gypsies and horses and ponies, a vet doing his rounds in pre-World War I Yorkshire. I laughed at every absurdity, the poodle that believed she was pregnant, the boxer that wouldn't stop farting in his high-class lady's house. Everything made me laugh while transporting me to a world where old men drank pints in pubs while their wee brown doggies sits under their stools. Again, Harriet just has a masterful sense of how absurd life is, and he laughed his way through trials and tribulations that probably would have broken me. Now, the Mistress of Crime, Queen of Crime in every English-speaking country. Agatha Christie and her short story collections, Partners in Crime. This book has murder, espionage, and shady weight loss clinics. These make up the challenges faced by Tommy and Tuppence in what I consider to be Christie's most engaging book. The concept of a loving pair of married and having kids, but just like getting bored with their lives and deciding to use their energy to solve crimes was delightful. Christie takes a long, honest look at human nature, and despite the murder and betrayals, laughs, for we are absurd. Going back a little bit further in time, we have another one of the English greats, Elizabeth Clegghorn Gaskell. Specifically her book Cranford. This book truly transported me to another world, and this is described in other books that have been written in forewords throughout the time since this was published. We see a glimpse of a time, a place that dissipated long before our grandparents were born, and we see through the eyes of a bemused young woman. These stories were a slice of life when it was written, but these short stories have long since faded into mythology. Life in the town of Cranford is different from what we experience now. But in these stories, it's thrown into chaos. An unmarried gentleman has arrived. He's loud, he's friendly, he is a man. However, he does save the life of Betty Barker's cow, whether or not he intended to, so perhaps he's not all that bad. I go back and reread this book more every year. It really does feel like escaping to a fantasy world, and there might not be wizards and magicians at every corner. There might not be curses, but it really does feel like something not of this world, and it really gives me that impossible goal to aim at as an author. 200 years from now, will people look at my stories and feel like they are being transported to another world? Will my stories be just as enjoyable 200 years from now when all cultural context has passed? I can only hope to achieve a fraction of this literary success. Alright, so those were my 5 choices for short story collections to give you a laugh at the absurdity of human nature. 5 of which are mine, 5 of which are not mine, and 1 of which is. So go check out bookshop.org and tell them Betty sent you. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful friends.
Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.